Gen Z calls it vibes, others call it aura, some may even call it energy. But what if these intuitive experiences weren't rooted in mysticism or mood alone? What if they were rooted in biology? Okay, so think about this. You're sitting next to someone anxious on the subway, and suddenly your own chest begins to tighten. You may feel a little bit sweaty, and you seem to somehow be catching their anxiety. Or the opposite. You're sitting next to someone really calm and peaceful and grounded, and suddenly your body starts to relax. You're catching their calmness as though a contagious condition. It's crazy, right? We laugh when we see or hear others laugh. We cry when someone is crying in front of us. Some people think this is just vibes or energies, but biology and neuroscience says it's actually not that crazy. We are neurologically wired to absorb people's energies whether we like it or not. And Luna's tail is really aggressive right now. Maybe she's happy? I don't. What are her vibes? You guys tell me in the comments. So, yes, we're neurologically designed to absorb and reflect the emotional states of people around us. And at the heart of this phenomenon is mirror neurons, or a complex interplay, rather, of mirror neurons, the olfactory sense, and multisensory brain circuits that tune us to one another. So, without further ado, today we're going to exploring how and why energy is contagious, and how the people we surround ourselves by quite literally shape our mind, body, and emotional baseline. This topic has kind of blown up on social media amongst other pop psychology topics, but the mysticism surrounding vibes and energies and like, ooh, crystals and stuff really bugs me because I'm like, I've felt it. I think it's true. I have caught the energy of the room or someone next to me. The people I surround myself by do definitely influence my mood, but it bugs me how mysterious this topic all is. And so I am going to try to explain it to you and explain it to myself the best way I know how. And my favorite way to understand things, starting with the human brain. Sorry about all that glitching. I don't know what was happening. So let's start with mirror neurons. These neurons were discovered in the 1990s by scientist Rizzolatti and his colleagues at the University of Parma. I'm not actually sure if that's how you pronounce it, but it felt right to say it that way. Don't come at me. So he first observed these mirror neurons in macaque monkeys, macaque monkeys, some kind of pretty monkey brand species. I feel like filming in the morning is a bad idea because I'm like all hyped up on caffeine and I can't contain myself. But anyways, we're going to try to stay focused because this is supposed to be like a scientific informative episode that's like, haha, I know science. So, one second. Okay, so mirror neurons. These specific neurons fired not only when the monkey grasped something or grabbed it, but also when the monkey watched another mammal grab or grasp it. And this is important because it didn't even have to be another monkey. It could just be any mammal, including humans. These neurons were located in a region of the monkey's brain called F5 of premotor cortex. And basically, this region is involved in deciding and executing and planning movement, when the body is going to move, how, and essentially executing that movement. And it's crazy because it was groundbreaking. The study showed that the motor neurons, this neuron involved in movement and execution of movement, didn't light up just when the monkey did the movement, but also when the monkey watched a mammal do the movement. And this is crazy. It's wild. It's groundbreaking. I don't know if you're as excited as I am because like when I read it, I was like, what? That's crazy. And this was found in humans too, spanning all across their brain. We have tons of mirror neurons that help us connect to people, imitate them, feel empathy for them, etc. Like when you see someone smile, your smile muscles literally activate. Or seeing someone in pain lights up your own pain centers in the brain. And witnessing others in tension, like witnessing people in a fight, will raise your own cortisol levels. It's not just metaphor, it's measurable. Neuroscientist Ramachandran actually described these mirror neurons as the neurons that shaped civilization. Why? Well, because these neurons may explain everything from language acquisition, social learning by imitation, kindness, empathy, compassion, imitation, all of it. All of it. It is crazy. These mirror neurons are so significant, and it explains how our brain doesn't just react to things we see, but it actually partially recreates it. Recent developmental research shows that these mirroring systems begin really early on. Infants as young as 6 months old begin to show mirroring activation patterns in the brain when they're watching people do different facial expressions. And then toddlers, by the age of 2 or 3, begin to actually have a mimicry kind of thing where they have these activation and then they mirror behaviors through observation. So this is all a precursor to more complex empathy. And actually, there was this like interesting research study I read. I can't remember where I found it. I'll put it right here. Can you see it? I put it right there. There's actually an increase of white matter in the mirror neuron related pathways, and that is correlated with higher empathy scores on the scales that they use to measure empathy. So this also shows us, and what I'm trying to get at is it shows us that empathy is innate. Sure, we are born with these mirror neurons, but it also is shaped by environment. Like the more we are exposed to empathetic behavior or certain things, the more we begin to mimic them and create those pathways in the brain. I really need to stop being a gremlin in all of these videos and just like sit like I need to sit like this. I feel like I sound smarter sitting like this. I say this all the time, but like I really need to start. And as though this couldn't get any cooler, it does. As it turns out, our sense of smell is deeply embedded in emotion processing and social behavior. In one study called Titrating the Smell of Fear, researchers kind of took the sweat of men watching horror films, categorized it as low, medium, and high, and then let women smell it while they were hooked up to an fMRI machine to see what areas of their brain lit up. And guess what? Once the fear odor crossed a certain threshold, which was low, women who were smelling the sweat actually showed heightened perception of fear when they smelled the sweat of these men, which is crazy. Another study was very, very similar. They did kind of the same thing with people who went skydiving. And guess what? The women who were smelling the sweat of people who went skydiving actually had heightened perception of fear and anxiety in their amygdala. Like their amygdala literally lit up just by smelling the sweat. And you might be wondering why. That's so weird. But I'll tell you, it's because sweat produced when someone is experiencing fear carries different chemical signatures than sweat that is produced when someone is generally happy or calm. And these chemo signals, the chemical signatures in sweat, modulate everything from visual perception to emotional evaluation. So when you smell fear related sweat or fear tinged sweat, if you want to call it that, you actually begin to scan faces differently. You engage risk processing or danger processing areas like the amygdala. You start to breathe differently, probably breathe a little bit more deeply. And literally, your body begins to change the way it is operating in that moment because it itself is experiencing fear. Smell is the only sense that has direct access to the amygdala without first passing through the thalamus. This makes odor related memories and reactions so much stronger than auditory or visual ones. This is crazy because if you think about it, so the amygdala is the area of the brain that tells you fear, danger, oh my god, sound the alarms, prepare the body. And the thalamus is kind of like the higher order thinking where it's like, hey, actually calm down. That really loud noise you heard, that was just construction. It's nothing, it's not a big bear who's trying to kill you. Maybe don't sound the alarms. Everything in terms of other senses has to go through the thalamus first before it reaches the amygdala. So there is like this check system except for the sense of smell. And that's why odor related triggers are really important when we're studying trauma as well, because they can be so significant. Your body, when triggered by a scent or an odor, can go into a full really negative response, a trauma response, without your body even realizing what's happening in that moment, which is like the coolest thing ever. Because you know how we're like, oh, they can smell fear, and that's just something we say, but no, literally, fear has a smell and our brain knows it and it can sense it. So when someone around you is afraid and you're breathing in their sweat or just sensing it, your own body starts to react differently. You start to pay more attention, you breathe more deeply, your body goes into some kind of response. And this is not just true for fear. it's also true for other emotions as well, which then brings us to emotions are actually contagious. Our nervous system is constantly syncing, attuning, and adjusting in the presence of others. And this spans a wide range of emotions from stress, disgust to fear, joy, awe, hope, etc. Imagine sitting in a room with someone who is incredibly angry and saying absolutely nothing. Mirror neuron circuits pick up on the micro expressions, shift in posture, and muscle tension. Your own motor cortex begins to mirror those stress patterns. If that person emits subtle chemical cues of agitation, of fear, or sweat, your olfactory system takes it in, routing signals through the limbic system, the emotional core of the brain, and then the result is that your heart rate may increase, your muscles may tighten, your mood may subtly shift, and suddenly you're angry without knowing why and without really having a reason to be angry outside of who you're sitting next to. And the same is true for the opposite situation. Imagine sitting next to someone super calm, super grounded, and suddenly your nervous system begins to co regulate. It dials down the signals of threat and alarm. Your parasympathetic nervous system is activated or engaged, and that's the rest and digest, by the way, and you are just more relaxed. And this, knowing the science behind this, really reaffirmed my position about who you're with really dictates your mood. Like, I have seen this firsthand with myself. You are who you surround yourself by. I remember one of the times I was really like, just everything in my life was fine, but I just felt really off and really down all the time. And I came across this one podcaster who was talking about like, you are who your five closest friends are. And it really hit me. I was like, wow, oh my gosh. And I examined my relationships at that time in my life, and I'm like, okay, this makes a lot of sense. Like, it's not necessarily that you have a weak personality or that you don't have a personality. Like, I have a pretty strong personality. I don't have social anxiety. I'm outspoken and loud. I'm not shy. I say my opinion. I voice it. I laugh loudly. Like I have a big personality, shall we say. I've had one since I was a child, which is not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. It's a neutral observation about myself and others' observations of me. Not the point. The point here is that it's not necessarily that you are weak and influenced by the people around you. It is just because neurologically and biologically, we're designed to kind of take in people's energies around us or their chemo signals or their actions and behaviors and mirror them. And that's what makes us basically made up of the combination. I don't even know how to describe this. I looked at my relationships and I was like, okay, some of my relationships right now, my closest friendships, a lot of these people are really, really down. They're really low energy. They're kind of depresso, which is fine. I'm not shaming them for going through depression. Depression is a very normal experience of the human condition. I've been through depression. I've been depressed a lot of my life. I go through really intense depressive episodes. I'm not shaming it. But I am saying at that point in my life, I was beginning to find joy and happiness. I was proud of where I was. I was generally happy, but I would just feel this nagging sense of like low energy. I just felt down all the time. And after that, something clicked for me. I was like, okay, it's because I'm surrounding myself with people who are in that state. And naturally, I'm going to absorb that the anxiety, the depression, the hopelessness, the cynicism, the negativity. And the fact that there is science behind it is so exciting. Like, it's not exciting, but it's just, it's incredible. It is absolutely incredible to be able to look at something that you just feel and there's like this nagging sense and you can't understand it. And then to put science behind it and you're like, whoa, this makes so much sense. And I'll give you something cool to say the next time you're around someone who's like a Debbie Downer and just like killing the vibes. Just be like, hey, I'm not really enjoying your biofeedback because biofeedback is the term to describe what we've been talking about the entirety of this episode. And this biofeedback and syncing goes beyond one to one interactions. It actually can ripple through a whole group. Like, think about leaders and dominant figures, they can set the emotional tone of the room within seconds or minutes. And this process is called emotional contagion, and it's actually been observed in hospitals, classrooms, workspaces, families, and just communities in general when they gather. And there have been studies on this. Like when a leader is calm under pressure, the group members who are who are being led show lower stress markers. And if a baby is raised by a mother who is generally anxious, the baby will grow up to have symptoms of anxiety even when nothing anxiety provoking is present. Luna, where are you going, love? Okay, well, you can't sit on my laptop. How about you sit here? Okay. Okay. And this idea of social contagion helps explain phenomena like religious ecstasy, group panic, or the comfort of being in a protest or a community organized movement. And it really shows us that we're not just neurologically linked, we're sensorially and neurally entangled. When I wrote that, I was like, I don't even know how to pronounce sensorially, but I want to use it because it's a word. So, yes, we are sensorially and neurally entangled, inextricably linked. Cherry on top. Cool vernacular excites me. And not just that. Large scale studies showed that emotions and behaviors can spread across social networks up to 3 degrees of separation. So, like, not just your friend, the friend of the friend of the friend. And this can be everything from smoking habits, voting patterns, happiness, etc. Like, literally, we can experience this social contagion degrees away from our immediate friendships or relationships in general, which is crazy. I feel like I say everything is crazy, but it's wild, right? We have these invisible links powered by mimicry and resonance. And in that, when you choose your social group, who you're going to spend your time with, you're not just choosing who you're going to spend your time with, you're choosing your neurological environment. You are choosing your emotional baseline, you're choosing your physiological baseline, and probably your habits as well. So, why does this all matter? Well, first of all, it matters because it's on the Ish Matters podcast where we talk about things that matter, but also because this elevates vibes or energies from just like a pop psych thing on social media to neurobiological literacy. When we're saying someone's vibe or energy is off, we're actually registering multiple sensory feedbacks or signals like posture, tone, odor, micro expressions, etc. We're registering that and then mimicking that or, subconsciously, physiologically experiencing some of what they're giving off. But this isn't just about people. Your own emotional landscape is porous, and that's really important to know as well. So, not only do we have to pay attention to who we are surrounding ourselves by, but also to what we are doing to the people around us. What are you bringing to the table? A lot of people ask me why I still go to therapy so frequently, so consistently after so many years. And it's because I realized that like and I advocate for therapy for everyone, even if you're quote unquote happy or like doing okay. I love therapy. And I know it's super stigmatized in communities of color. Like I'm Middle Eastern, it's super stigmatized in Middle Eastern culture. I remember some of the feedback I've gotten or the commentary I've gotten when I openly talk about therapy or mental health is like, "Oh my god, that's such a white people issue." And I get that a lot from a lot of people in the community, not to name names. But it's crazy because it's not a white people issue. Colored people have mental health too. I know it's crazy, right? But I advocate for therapy and I go to therapy so consistently, even though people make fun of me for it, because I realize that when I show up with my friends, I am no longer bringing all of that like energy onto my friendships or siblings or familial relationships in general. I'm bringing a more positive, free self. I don't have all this baggage weighing on me. I don't just spend the time I have with them to talk about my problems or to process my emotions. I've already done that, put that aside, and then I could show up to experience the moments with them, make memories, and make them as positive as I can. I'm not saying I'm positive in 100% of my interactions, but I'm positive in significantly more of my interactions because I've already done the hard, grueling processing work earlier that week. And that's why everybody should go to therapy. We live in a sick society. And as I always say, my favorite quote, it is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. So if you feel okay in this society, if you feel like I'm chilling, you're probably just dissociating and like desensitized or just being delulu. Like you can't possibly be okay in the head living in this modern day and age. If you are you okay? Is my question. So yeah, Yeah, back to the point. And not only does it help us understand how we bring our own energy to the table or what the people around us are doing to us, but also try to understand people in really emotionally demanding careers like teachers, caregivers, nurses, first responders. Like, it really does help to understand when these people are in these emotionally taxing positions, like how they are emotionally drained and burdened. They really absorb everything around them. And it helps us maybe form policies, give them some extra support, be better friends or family members to them. So, just knowing this topic, understanding this topic matters for a wide range of reasons. But if there's anything you might take from it, is choose the people around you wisely and choose who you are in groups of people also wisely. That didn't make much sense. That wasn't a very good articulation of my point, but you get the point, right? But I want to end on a positive note. This beautiful thing we have, empathy, it is wired into our body. It's not just a virtue. We are literally wired to feel others around us, feel what they feel pain with them, feel joy with them. And that is such an incredible and beautiful thing. Does that make us a little bit more careful about who we choose to spend our time with or the careers we choose, knowing our limits, knowing how sensitive we are to certain triggers or surroundings? Yeah. But it's also something to just take in and reflect on about how beautiful and intricate life is. And on that note, I hope this episode was fun and useful and informative. If you liked it, please like it. If you have any thoughts or feelings or suggestions or criticisms, please comment down below. I want to hear you guys. I want to hear your thoughts and opinions. Genuinely, I want to form a community here, and I want to do that by talking to you guys. So don't shy away from the comment section. I will respond to every single one of you for the time being. And yeah, I really hope you liked this episode. This was super fun to film. I've never filmed in daylight hours. This was really fun. I have more energy. I'm like amped, full of like 4 cups of coffee. It was kind of hard to focus at first, but then I got into the groove of things. I'm Rania Salah. This is Ish Matters. Please, if you like it, share it. No, I already said that part. This is like a script that I'm trying to go through. I'm Rania Salah. This is Ish Matters. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I can't wait to see you next week on this channel.